He was the youngest coach. He's currently the youngest coach.
See your man.
Youngest coach.
See your man.
Youngest coach. Youngest coach is Pachucci. Uruguay, 1930. First World Cup. Pachucci was the youngest. Second youngest is Luis Minotti. Third is Carlos Bonaco.
Have you said you do party today? Kofi? Kofi?
Sunday.
All the wrong, let me find out myself.
So after 1,500 days since France ascended the throne of the world, today the crown is up for grabs once again, and it's France who are in the final for the second time since Brazil did so in 1998 and 2002, up against Argentina, who are making the final and bidding to win their third World Cup trophy. Kofi, Lucky, Percy, guys, you're welcome.
They mentioned your name first.
Thank you, David.
It's been
Yes.
a roller coaster of a tournament so far. We've had 80 goals scored. Your thoughts on the entire tournament?
Well, I think that good afternoon to our listeners and our viewers all across the world. And I think that to come back to your question, I think it's been a great tournament. It's been a tournament that's filled us with so many memories. It's been a tournament that has lived up to all of the hype. It's been a tournament that's sort of bastardized everything the West had to say against Qatar hosting the World Cup, and then has put Qatar in a better state. I mean, in terms of sporting activities, I think that this has been a truly remarkable World Cup, not just for the football played, for all of the things that we expected that it would happen or it will rear its ugly head during the World Cup. I can tell you that, I mean, I've said it before that this has been my best World Cup ever. If you look at the quality of games played, I was skeptical going into this particular World Cup because of the calendar, because of the position that had been filled with this particular World Cup. But I think that so far it's defied all expectations. It's been a worthwhile World Cup, and I think that credits to FIFA, credits to FIFA is not an organization that really gets a lot of credit. You understand, but for this World Cup and for the bold approach to sticking with Qatar, even in the midst of all of the things that were thrown at it from the West. I think that FIFA deserves a lot of commendation for what he's been able to do. And kudos to the people of Qatar, kudos to all of the national teams, and kudos to Argentina and France. We'll come to the details later.
But Lucky, it's been an exciting tournament, and I couldn't agree with Kofi any less. It's been the best World Cup I've witnessed, even though I've not seen lots of World Cups. But we had so many storylines. The Saudi Arabia upset. There was a Japan story. Cameroon, Vincent Abubakar scoring, celebrating, getting sent off. There's been so many storylines. What has been your pick of this particular tournament?
Um, like Kofi said, listen, I think it's becoming a unanimous, decision. Maybe Percy will be the odd one out, but um, my first ever vivid World Cup that I can, recollect on top of my head every single crucial moment was 1994. 1990, I was very, very young. I think I was about 6 years old back then. So I cannot recollect a lot of things. But in 1994, I recollect a lot of things. But from that time till now, listen, this World Cup is, like Kofi said, it's been the best World Cup I have seen. And you made mention of storylines. One of the memorable storylines for me was that quarterfinal between Morocco and
Portugal.
Portugal. Everything about that quarterfinal was symbolic. Listen, it was the first time an African country was bidding to go into the semifinals or have a place in the semifinals. It was the first time Morocco themselves, had won their group and had made it this far. And so going into that game, listen, the world was watching. Everybody, stood still watching to see what would happen. And they beat Portugal, one of the favorite going into the tournament. For me, that would be that one thing. Though I mean, it was disappointing for me in my honest opinion. I thought that they could at least get Africa a medal, but it didn't happen. But that quarterfinal game against Portugal, and the manner in which they defied all odds with all the superstars that Portugal had, they rode on every single momentum. It was like the Arab nation, the African nation against Europe and the rest of the world. And what is it called? Morocco happened to sail through to the semi-finals. For me, that storyline by Morocco, when journalists are trying to write the story of Qatar 2022, this will be one of the most iconic stories they will tell. The first time an African country makes it to the semi-final, makes it into the medal zone, though they didn't win any medal, and the manner in which Morocco did it. Listen, when was the last time an African country won, had maximum points in their group? They didn't lose a single game. They got 7 points, topped their group, went through to the round of 16, defeated Spain, one of the favorites when the tournament started, goes all the way to meet Portugal, one of the favorite as well in terms of the dark horses, beat them and make it to the semi-final. So for Morocco, their journey through this tournament, especially when a lot of people did not actually count them as.
Even you yourself.
Yes, I mean, when we're doing the preview, I'm sure, I mean, if we had seen it written in the stars, we would probably have made that bold prediction. It was because over the years, West African countries have fairly represented Africa well in the World Cup. Talk about Cameroon, talk about Ghana, talk about the Ivorians, talk about Senegal themselves. And coming into this tournament, yes, Morocco were on an amazing unbeaten run, but if you look at form guide in terms of competition from the other West African countries, Senegal, Cameroon, going into this tournament, many people also favorite to progress to probably the quarterfinals and even the semi-finals wouldn't have been Morocco, rather Senegal. So for them, their storyline is amazing, and it's that one storyline that resonates with me. The resilience, the quality of football. It's not just about the fact that they rode on some momentum. They played one of the best footballs we've seen in any tournament. Yes, people may say it was a bit anti-football, but they defended so well. Whenever they were on the attack, they attacked very well. So my awesome storyline throughout this tournament has got to be Morocco.
Now, Percy, speaking of storylines, Africa had one of the best ever World Cup in their history. There was not a podium finish, but there was one in the top four. This is a particular tournament in which Africa has won most points cumulatively since ever they began competing at the World Cup in 1934 when Egypt were the first. Given what Africa has demonstrated and the prospect of having more representatives at US 2026, you believe the time for Africa to have a podium finish is near?
I think that for all the five African nations that went, there was not a single country that went down without a fight, save Ghana, especially in the last match. Because in the last match, almost, in fact, not none of the teams was out. Almost all of them had a chance. Cameroon went down beating Brazil. Tunisia went down beating France. Morocco did not just go down easily. You even got Senegal, who didn't go down without a fight. But when it got to Ghana, by the time we went, we even just needed a draw. In fact, ours was the easiest. Apart from Morocco, ours was the easiest, but we didn't make much of the chance. I think if you listen to the Moroccan coach, that's Walid, he was saying something that probably we didn't really give heed to that. He wishes that FIFA would bring a sanction on all the African born or African descent who are born in Europe. And it was just a passing comment. But I think if we look at it retrospectively, he was trying to say that that mentality or that blockade, that mindset that we have that Africa cannot go far has been defeated. You see, he came in with a mentality of not thinking that Morocco is an African team and that Africa, this is our border and this is where we get to. I am not concerned about the number of slots we are given because the number of slots we are given would give chance for a lot of chaff to come in, and the round 32 would expose a lot of them. That is something that is going to happen. So I think that this is something that has opened the door, has opened the mindset that the players that our players play with during the World Cup are the very players they play in Europe with. Because for the past years, we've gotten the chance that, unlike before, that a few African players were playing in Europe. But now we have some of them in top teams, some of them nominating for Ballon d'Or. So you had Sadio Mane just second in Ballon d'Or. That should tell you the level that we've gotten to. You have Mohamed Salah, you have Thomas Partey, you have all of these players playing in the biggest of leagues. And the only thing that is now left, we saw it in the World Cup, is coaching. Coaching was what took Morocco far. It wasn't necessarily the players, because if it has to do with the players, Ghana has relatively better players. If we match them boot for boot, we can probably say we have better players than Morocco. Because if you check our team and we check a players and we check the teams they play in and their performances, they could match them. But what was our downfall? It was the coaching. So Walid has shown us the way that World Cup is not necessarily won by players, or it's not necessarily won by the assembly of a team. The contribution of a coach is a necessary factor. And if Africa wants to break that barrier, Africa wants to advance to that level, we need to get a coach who does not think like that. This is amongst all the coaches that went to the World Cup. That is the African coaches that went to the World Cup, and those who were African based. None of them has a qualification of Walid. Walid is the one who had the pro lines. Apart from him, Otuado does not match him. If you check Aliou Cisse, he does not match him. So it is about time that we don't just give a lot of attention to. I'm not saying that the team is something that we should negate, but we should also give attention to the technical bench that we send to the World Cup, because that is what has helped Morocco. So going forward, we shouldn't be jubilating that we have more slots. That is not really a reason for us to jubilate, because if you take South America, they have only five, and out of the five, they've had Brazil winning five, they've had Argentina winning two, they have Uruguay winning two. So out of the five that they get almost every year, they have 9 World Cups. We have also been given the five for the past 4 or 5 World Cups also. But what have we done? We can only boast of one semi-final and 3 quarterfinals. That should tell you that it's not about the number of slots. It's not about even the even the Asians. They have only two. OFC has two plus one. Yet they went to the semi-final before we did. So it's not about the number of slots. We should rather give a lot of attention to the coaching and the technical bench. It's a matter of promoting. Morocco has shown us that the juvenile football and your local league, because right now they Morocco as a country, their team is the one, or their club team is the defending champion for the CAF Confederations Cup, the CAF Champions League, the women's under 17, under 20, and they've transcended it into the national team. So it also Morocco is also showing us the way that our local league, if it is not as strong as it should be, and our juvenile football, if it is not as vibrant as it should be, and if we don't have a conveyor belt for these two, then we should forget about calling players for them to play for the national team.
So Morocco have really written the story for Africa, and if you're tuned in live on YouTube, invite a friend to come on board the broadcast. Invite a friend to share the link. Drop us a comment and it'll be read here as well. This is Sports 101. Our build up for the 2022 FIFA World Cup final. It's been a final with so much expectations, and pretty shortly we'll be engaging in that particular discussion. I want to find out from you. Any of you believe in omens?
I'm a spiritual person, obviously I do.
Argentina have consulted a number of witches and witch doctors. Oh yes, I mean it's been confirmed. They've contracted witches to aid them this far. But you see, I mean, he's a spiritual man, and
You don't believe in omens.
Oh, I do, I do,
You
I
believe?
do. Yeah, I do.
So, off the top of my head, I know you are rooting for France to win.
Certainly.
But you know, this is not the first World Cup ever held in the Middle East. This is the first senior World Cup held in the Middle East.
Okay.
But this is not the first World Cup held in the Middle East. So in 1995, Qatar hosted the FIFA Under 20 World Cup. And guess what? Argentina won.
There was no there.
Who was there?
There was none of the technical team currently. Lionel Scaloni, Ayala, Swarte Samuel, Pablo Aima were the graduates of the 1995 Under 17. They went on to play in the 1997 Under 20 World Cup in Malaysia, which also Argentina won.
Well, so you have chosen to align yourself with this omen.
No, I'm just giving you a
I'm
fair
also
idea.
giving you another omen. Yes, I'll give you another omen. I mean, if the viewers are watching us, another omen is that Argentina has never won the World Cup outside the Americas.
Exactly.
Yes, and long will this omen still run
Argentina
today.
have actually lost their last two World Cup finals
In-
to European opposition, and tonight they play one.
it looks like a very good omen. Two omens.
There's the
Forget
other.
about the age tournament.
There's the other one.
Which one?
In 2001,
Uh huh.
when Ronaldo signed for PSG, he went on to win the World Cup. In I think 2014, there was another signing for 2018 actually. Kylian Mbappe signed 2017. Kylian Mbappe signed for PSG. Went on to win the World Cup in 2018. And then there was There's Lionel Messi, who's made it to the World Cup final under the guise of PSG. So there's a whole lot of subplots, omens, owing to this particular World Cup. Another one which may tilt in Argentina's favor is that they've only won the World Cup twice. And on those two occasions where they've won the World Cup, it was against European opposition.
Hitler. That woman is at the Di Maria one.
And Angel Di Maria has played in just three finals for Argentina. And in all of the finals which he's played, incredibly, he didn't play in the 2014 FIFA World Cup. He didn't start that particular final. And Argentina lost. So whenever
He's played in how many finals?
he's played in three, he started three finals,
finals.
for Argentina.
Which finals? I want to know the categorization. Wafu, Wafu,
Come on, Kofi, let's
We have our own omens.
But
Wafu.
there's so many.
I know. I mean, listen. If I say Wafu for people watching us, I mean the Copa America is the Wafu edition. You understand? I mean, a tournament that can be held 4 times in 6 years. No, no. It's certainly a tournament that you would not want to consider seriously. So if those are the statistics,
No,
if
these are just omens I've mentioned that they all tend to either switch in another's favor or play to another's favor. And if you're a player walking out from that dressing room, Argentina, for example, know very well Di Maria has somewhat been a lucky charm. In every final which he started for Argentina, he started the Under 20 World Cup final, Argentina won. He started the Copa America final, he started the Finalisma final. Argentina have all gone on to win. If you're a player in that dressing room, will that play on your mind before stepping out on the field?
now quickly before my friends come in, certainly, football is a psychological game. It's a game of minds. You understand? And I'm pretty sure that until the referee blows the whistle, all of these thoughts will play on your mind. And even when he blows the whistle, in the first 15 minutes, you see what will happen in this game. They'll try to size each other up. They'll try to test each other. But one thing I can tell you is that this game will go beyond 90 minutes. This game will go beyond 90 minutes.
Well, all of
That I am very sure about.
all of the three of the last four World Cup finals have gone beyond 90 minutes. The only exception has got to be in 2018, where France won it in 90 minutes. So,
Well, this game is going beyond 90 minutes. I can confirm. I cannot tell you my sources, but the point is simple. The point is simple. I think that you play on the minds of the players. And I think that, listen, the French boys will not be too much under pressure. Listen, when they were going into this World Cup, the minimum they were expected to reach was the semi-final. That's the KPI the French FFF
Federation.
gave the French national team, and so there's even talk about the fact that Didier Deschamps has exceeded
the
what the expectations. So there's talk about the fact that they want to extend his contract. I was telling somebody that if we are talking about the pantheon of great coaches, I think that we need to start thinking about Didier Deschamps. He's an excellent coach. Everything that France has been able to do at the World Cup, he's been at the center of it. As a player, as a coach, he's been at the center of it. But I think that the Argentine players will be under a lot of pressure. Because, listen, if you're Kylian Mbappe, he's won the World Cup at 19. If you are Varane, he's won the World Cup 4 years ago. Hugo Lloris has done it, and all of those Giroud has done it. He didn't even play a shot on target. You understand? So I think that the onus lies on Argentina to bring the game to the French boys, and this is where we expect tactics and dynamics to play out. I think it will be an interesting game.
Lucky, all of the storylines in going into this particular one has been the fact that even Argentina players have been speaking about the fact that they want to win this for Messi. They want to do it for their leader. Going by Kofi's thoughts, are Argentina the side under pressure to win this final?
I think that both sides are under pressure, but Argentina would be under a lot of pressure. Listen, Kofi spoke about the 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 minimum the French were expected is the semi-finals. Then that should be that if you the least you can do is the semi-final. So they get you to the final, they've not exceeded expectations because if your minimum is the semi-final, it's not like oh the best you can do is the semi-final. So they are under pressure to okay you've got into the final, and the reason I'm saying both teams are under pressure, but Argentina is under the most pressure is because listen, no team has done the back to back, and France at the back of their mind. Listen, we can rewrite history with a crop of players that we have. So with that going into that game, one, Didier Deschamps himself knows it. No team has ever done. Not even the great Brazil when they have the best of players. Germany. I mean, when we talk about world football, Germany, Italy, none of them could was able to do this. So if France have the opportunity, that alone for me is one of the highest pressure weighing on them. That listen, can we jinx this or we can actually break this jinx? So that is a huge pressure on them. The huge pressure that of Argentina that supersedes that of France is the fact that listen, everybody is looking at this Argentine team and saying this team does not have the best of players. I mean, comparable to or in comparison to the other great Argentine teams that we've seen. That Messi factor alone is the pressure that this Argentine team is on. Why am I saying this? Messi, we've talked about the fact that he's bottled the 2014 final. He was there when they lost it. He's lost lots of finals, barring his recent final he won in the Copa Americas. He's been at the hands of many final defeats, and so it's huge pressure on Lionel Messi, who leads this team. But you see, if you look at this Argentine team, I think they are their level of resolution in terms of their mental fortitude is what has carried them through. You spoke about players like the young players in terms of Enzo Fernandez, players like Julian Alvarez. I remember very well when Messi retired. Was it in 2014 after the World Cup in 2015? Enzo Fernandez at the time was a teenager. He made a Facebook post that Argentina does not deserve you, and he cried in the post and talked about the fact that the world needs Argentina and he should unretire if there's a word like that. Somebody like the young chap in Julian Alvarez. This is a guy who growing up had Messi's posters all around, and when Messi retired, he also made a post talk about the fact that Messi shouldn't retire and all of that. Now they are playing. These two players are literally playing, with their icon, including in this guy. What's his name? Alistair. He
Alistair.
also at the time,
Alexis
and all of that.
McAllister.
So the pressure is there. Let's do this. Let's win this for our icon that we've idolized over the years. Messi himself, I have said, and I'll say this anywhere, and I'll defend it anywhere. He does not need this World Cup to cement his place as. For me, I told you, I do not believe in the greatest of all time because football is played in eras. Nobody can tell me that the players in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s would perform at the same level they performed back then now. The dynamics is different. Nobody can also tell me the players that are performing now can, take them back in history and they can perform at the same level. A lot of things have changed. Offside rules have changed. Technology have changed. A lot of things have changed. So for me, I do not believe in that greatest of all time, meaning you can transcend generations. No, football is played in eras, generations. I feel that if we want to have a debate, let's what is it called? Situationalize the debate in the last decade, in the last 20 years. Let's have a nice debate. So for me, even if he does not win this trophy, I think that he has done everything that cements his place as the greatest in our generation, if not the last decade, the last 15 years, 20 years. He deserves that accolade. That's another debate for another time. But I think that pressure is weighing on him. Listen, he himself has said it that he will trade one of his Champions League trophies for the World Cup, knowing the symbolism of the World Cup. Listen, you may club football now reigns supreme. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of what is it called sponsorship. People, young young guns of today grew up to club football, but those who are 30 plus, those who are hitting 40 plus, those who are in their 50s, they grew up on the World Cup. The World Cup symbolizes football. There's a reason why we are all against it being played two
Every two
years in
years.
interval. We want to see the rareness of the World Cup is what makes it attractive. Listen, every 2 years, after a while, it become boring. Do you get it? Yes, some may argue that the Champions is not boring, or but we want to see the World Cup every 4 years. There's a reason why people idolize the World Cup because of the greats that have graced the World Cup. Mention them. A lot of people did not see the playing days of Baggio, but they saw Baggio at the 1994 World Cup. A lot of people did not see the playing days of Pele, but in the 50s, in the 60s, Pele in the World Cup, they saw him. A lot of people did not even see Zinedine Zidane's greatness at Juventus. A lot did not see him. People, when you mention the Zinedine Zidane, the first thing that comes to mind is Real Madrid and the World Cup in France '98. But many did not see that greatness in him in Juventus. And all. So people have come to associate their greats with the World Cup. And so for me, I think that at the back of Messi's mind, it's weighing down on him. And even in Argentina, listen, most oldies and most people idolize Diego Armando Maradona because of the fact that he was part of that 1986 winning World Cup winning team, and the fact that he played a pivotal role in them lifting the trophy. He is their icon. He For a country, they don't care about your club football. You think Ghanaians care about what Partey does for Arsenal in the Europa League? No. Ghanaians care about what Partey does for the Black Stars in the AFCON and in the World Cup. That's what it means for countries. And so for Messi, for him to be accepted as the icon next to Diego Armando Maradona, for them to raise a statue for him in terms of how they idolize him, he needs this in terms of how the world see him in Argentina. But for in the minds of many great football pundits and great, what is it called, football lovers, he's still the great in this generation. You can say there are two, three, four, but he still finds his place there. So that alone is a pressure on him. And he looks back into it he looks back at 2014 and says, "Wow, I could have gotten this for my nation, and all this noise would have ended, but I didn't." 2018, it was a disaster in the quarterfinals against France. They beat us 4 goals to 3. Though the scoreline does not tell the entire story of the game, it was a whitewash in the eyes of many. So all these things will be playing, at the back of his mind, and he will look at the fact that I do not think 4 years from now, I'll be 39, I could have the legs to go on in US, Canada, and Mexico. This is the time I cement my name in the history books of my country, not of Barcelona, not of PSG, but of my country. Yes, I've won them the Copa America, but you and I know that in Argentina, it's not the Copa America that they care about. What they care about is the World Cup. So all these come into play, and I think that for the Argentines, the pressure is more than the French.
Percy, it's a campaign that started off with a rocky boat, with Saudi Arabia rocking that ship, but they've been able to find their feet from thence. There was that a manic moment against the Dutch, but they found it with ease with Croatia. Let's talk me through the Argentina campaign thus far and playing at the World Cup final tonight.
Okay. Now, in talking about the Argentina, the team, and the whatever they've gone through, we were talking about a lot of omens. Um, they Each team has its omen that works for him and against him. For he never talked about that of the France. Kylian Mbappe has never lost a World Cup match playing 90 minutes ever.
It's quite true.
He's never ever lost a World Cup match playing 90 minutes. That's one. France has never lost against a South American team for 44 years. The last one was 1978.
Against?
Obviously. I'm coming. Again, France too. The last team that won back to back
Yeah.
was Brazil in 58-62. Just check the last date, the last numbers. France
Italy,
is 2018,
and
2022.
Italy was 38 and 42.
Italy was 34.
34.
Yes, 34, 38 with
34,
Ipi Mieza.
Yeah. And then
Yes.
Brazil was 58, 62.
That is what works for the French. If you come to that of the Argentines, they also have something that works for them. The last time they won the World Cup, 1978, they had Canada
Yeah.
qualifying for the first time. Again, in the same 1978, they had Poland in their group, and Poland was able to also qualify out of the group. It works for them. But unfortunately, the last time that the World Cup, we had a team, a coach who had won the World Cup previously in what do you call it, Carlos Belado, 1986, winning with the Argentines. When he went to the next World Cup in 1990, he lost. So we have the Shams trying to maybe exercise those demons and doing that. Again, when you're also talking about the last since 1998, or let's say 2002, all the World Cup finals, whoever wins the Golden Ball, your team will not win. 2002, Oliver Kahn won, but Brazil won. 2006, Zidane won, Italy won. 2010, Spain won, Forlan won the Golden Ball. 2014, Messi, he won the Golden Ball, but the Germany won. 2018, Luka Modric. So if Messi wants to win that, we will give him the Golden Ball. Whether he likes it or not, the Golden Ball. So, 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 and the round of match. So you see, in this World Cup era, listen, the round of the Argentines, and unfortunately too, we have only one team that has lost the first World Cup and won. That is Spain in 2010. And Argentina too has lost their first. And after they lost their first World Cup, we were all at them. How can you lose against a team like Saudi Arabia? But they picked up themselves. And you know they are the only team in this World Cup to score in every match.
Yeah.
So that one is for those who want to do their own things. And the funny thing is that, you know, they've only been 5 red cards at the World Cup. Argentina has 2. France has 2. So it means obviously there is a possibility. And the funny thing is that Argentina had their 2 red cards in one match, 1990 World Cup. 2 red cards. And France also has 2 red cards. So the two of them, they are culpable with red cards in the final. So anything can happen. Now, Argentina had a progression which is more like the ascending. But France, theirs has been like a roller coaster. Because the Argentines started, they lost the first match and they never looked back. Messi inspired them with the goal against Mexico, and you had Julian Alvarez and Enzo Fernandez coming to the party, and they looked like they were picking up game after game, game after game. And I always say that if you take away Messi from this team, it is like Black Stars. I'm not going to. It's a Black Stars. Messi is and for what my brother was saying, Lucky was saying, if he wins this World Cup, we should stop talking about the 86 with Maradona. Because for everything we talk about 86, we talked about Maradona, forgetting that there was Buchaga, there was Dana Passarella, he scored, but they still, but of course, Maradona gave the assist. But we talk about Maradona. But if you check this Argentine team, he has 5 goals, 3 assists. Take his goals and assists out. And he obviously scores in almost every match. Almost every match he's scoring. And the reason why we talk so much about the 86 game, we can talk about the penalties and blah, blah, blah. The reason why we talk about the 86 was that it was seldom that we will have one player because if you take Pele in 1962, 58, he wasn't a star. The star was Didi and Garrincha. The two of them, number 7 and number 11. 62, Pele played one match and went off. He didn't play anything again. Didi and Garrincha won. If you want football, it was these two. 66 was 70. You can't say he was there because you had Tostao, Jezino, you have he himself, Carlos Alberto. But if you take a team that you've had one player carry the whole team, the only one you can mention so far is that of 86. Because of course you can talk about Bruchaga and Passarella, one of the best defenders, and all of these. If you take the exploits of Maradona, you realize that he was more like a one-man team. And if you take this Argentina, it's a one-man team. So for whatever, like I said, I said with him, if he wins this World Cup or he doesn't win this World Cup, it does not change whatever he's written in the annals of football. If you take that of the French is they also have a deficiency. They concede in every game. That's the unfortunate thing. So this team scores in every match, and this team also concedes in every match. So coming into this game, you are expecting to see goals in this game. The French started their first match. They actually considered the first goal, but they went on to win, and they went on to win the next one. And the last game, they played a gamble and they lost, and they never looked back. They went the round system, they trashed the Polish, and they went on and on and on. So in this final game, there are so many omens at play. You've mentioned some, Kofi has mentioned some, Lucky has mentioned some, but 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 this is what I see. I see that for all of these omens that we are talking about, the one that I see will really be in play are two. Number one is they not be able to win a World Cup outside the American. They have gone to five World Cups finals. They've won only two. They've lost three. 1990 they lost. They lost in 1990. 2014 too they lost. So if we they come to this World Cup, and it means that out of six, they have managed to win only two. And it would be very bad for even this team, because this team, if you, of course, you can add Di Maria and Messi, it means that together, out of six finals, they've won only two, and that would be very bad, because they lost the Copa America in 2007, they lost in 2011, they lost Copa America 2015, 2016, World Cup 2014. So if they lose this one, it will be seven. They will mean that out of seven finals, they've lost. And for this French too that you see them, I was talking about something with Lucky the last time, that if France wins, we will bring Mbappe into the goal debate.
Well,
We'll bring him into the goal
let's see
debate.
whether they can win. But quickly, let me run through the teams for both sides. And there's Emi Martinez in goal for Argentina. Naho Molina is at right back. Romero, Otamendi, and Tagliafico complete the back line. And Hel Di Maria, lucky charm, starts today after being on the periphery for the past two knockout games. Rodrigo De Paul, Enzo Fernandez, and Alexis McAllister complete the midfield. And Lionel Messi and Julian Alvarez. I'll tell you something about the two in a jiffy. But for France, Hugo Lloris is in goal, Jules Koundé, Rafael Varane, Dayo Pamecano, and Theo Hernandez. Aurelien Chouameni is fit enough to start, as well as Adrian Rabiot, who is back from a cold, Kylian Mbappe, Antoine Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, and then Olivier Giroud completes the French lineup. Now, Kofi, let me start with you. Argentina found that dynamism between Alvarez and Messi, and it's worked for them since he burst onto that podium against Poland. Now, incredibly, when Messi made his professional debut, Alvarez was 5. When Messi first played for Argentina, and when he was 8. Okay, so Alvarez was 3 when Messi made his professional debut. He was 5 when Messi first played for Argentina, and then he was 8 when Messi won the Olympic gold for his country. Now he shares the same stage with him on the final. And Alvarez has been the key to which Messi has seemingly found joy playing in that free role. Can the pair continue that telepathic understanding and
Well,
win?
well, I think that I'll treat this particular question in two facets. One, it tells you how well Messi has been able to look after himself. Yes, he's had a lot of injuries, but if you get close to anybody close to Messi and Ronaldo himself, they tell you that the number one thing that they do and do right is to eat right or eat clean. They eat cleanly, you understand? Because if you look at their contemporaries, not many of them are still playing football at this age and at the highest level. He wants to bring in Asamoah. He wants to bring in Asamoah. The last time I checked, he was looking for a trainer. You understand? So I think that
Not
we
only as Samajan, Rooney was Messi's compatriot.
well well for me for me yeah, that we are talking about Messi and talking about Alvarez. I think it tells you how consummate a professional Messi has been all throughout his career. You might not like him, you might not like all of the things he does, but I think that his career and Ronaldo's is something that footballers can emulate. It's something that football players today can model their careers around in terms of how they treat their bodies, in terms of what they allow their bodies to go through. So it's been absolutely. I think that if, and a big if Argentina are able to win the World Cup, Alvarez will be one of the very beautiful stories we'll probably get to write about the Argentines and Scaloni, because going to this World Cup, nobody gave him a dog's chance to be in this team and on that same level. And if you look at the chemistry that is developed between himself and Messi, it's almost platonic. You understand? And so, this was a World Cup that was supposed to be Lautaro Martinez's,
Yeah.
but Alvarez has come in. He's taking that bold decision. He's been handed an opportunity. He's taking that opportunity by the horn, and then he's gone out there and done his job. The thing I like about that kid is his movement, and then his brilliance, his intelligence, the ability to spot that pass before everybody else does. You understand? The ability to make those runs. And remember, he's 19, right? He's 22. Sorry, he's 22. He has a lot of pace to bend. So if you watch the Argentines, when they have come up against opposition who like to possess the ball, what Alvarez does is always dangle between the two central defenders. He dangles between them. The moment the ball is released, you can trust his pace and his sense of judgment. I think that the biggest strength of Alvarez has to be his sense of judgment, because how he's able to hold that play, allow the others to come in, and then find the right places, be at the right places at the right time. I think it's something that Scaloni has done, and it might have been a gamble, but I think it's been worth a gamble. And for me, I am not too much for the Argentines today, but I think that, like Lucky said, like Percy said, there are many beautiful stories we can write out of this World Cup, and one of the central themes has to be Alvarez and his found love with Lionel
He's
Messi.
been Argentina's secret weapon. Of all the strikers at this particular tournament, he's the one to have made the most interceptions. It tells you, beyond the fact that he adds goals, he scored
Pressing his
four.
pressing
He's been Argentina's pressing man. He's been the man doing a lot of interceptions. But so definitely he's picked a few notes from Pep. But today we're shooting live at Calendar's event, and at Calendar's they host all type of events. They have conference packages, they offer catering services, and they have one of the best pizzas in town as well as catfish. So you can visit Calendar's bar and lunch today.
Is there catfish I want to try?
Is the catfish you
Yeah,
want to
I want
try?
to try that
I've heard
catfish.
they've got great pork. So
Yeah, pork.
yeah.
And I'll add catfish and pork.
So if you're watching us
I'm
and you
talking
need a
about eating
place
right.
this Christmas, you've got to you've got to visit Calendars. You've got to be here and experience it all for yourself. But just before we go join the feed,
Yeah.
we can't talk about France and not talk about Kylian Mbappe and the sort of tournament he's had. He'll be a key Arsenal in this French team. How do Argentina deal with this threat?
I think that if you watch Kylian Mbappe all throughout this tournament, what Didier Deschamps has done so well is to make sure he sets up in a way that highlights his strength. We all know he will not defend to save his life. We've watched him throughout this tournament. He will never track back. And it's one thing I'm hoping the Argentines will take advantage. And it's the reason why I'm very certain Scaloni has started, Angel Di Maria, because obviously that is where Angel Di Maria operates. And it would mean that Theo Hernandez will not go forward a lot because Di Maria, Mbappe will not track back. We've seen him. He's a Messi. He would walk, survey the pitch. Then when you get the ball, try and exploit his space. For Mbappe, that's what has worked for him and has worked for the French national team. And his partnership and his link-up play with Antoine Griezmann has been excellent throughout this tournament. The ability for Griezmann to spot him with a pass, to track his runs, that's what was working for, Kylian Mbappe. All throughout this tournament, he's worked on his pace and he's exploited his pace very well. I'm looking at how he's going to come up against the likes of Romero. He's going to come up against the likes of Molina, because Molina will be playing at right back. That's where Kylian Mbappe will be operating through. Hopefully, there's going to be a tough tussle between Molina, Di Maria, and Kylian Mbappe. Can he have that pace? We know he's very pacey, but when he comes up against two strong guys who love to attack and defend in Di Maria's age, defies a lot of defensive abilities, because I watched him in the first game and he's one of those players that covered a lot of space for the Argentines. And I think that what I'm expecting from Kylian Mbappe in this game is that he should add a little bit more of defensive play to his game, because somebody like Theo Hernandez would need him. Because imagine they go on the attack and the Argentines would have to recycle possession and have to initiate an attack on their own. When you are not tracking back, it will mean that you have Molina and Di Maria do a lot of damage or come at Theo Hernandez. And that is where Kofi spoke about, the movement of what is it called, Julian Alvarez. He's a number 10 dream striker, because you have a striker whose movement is so beautiful like this. You want to play with him because you can pick him at will. That is what would come at the French if Kylian Mbappe does not add a lot of defensive ability to this game. Or what will work is that Adrian Rabiot would have to do extra. It means that we have to cover for what is called Theo Hernandez, as well as cover when what is it, Tuameni moves forward. So it's going to be an interesting battle. But the French, as always, they are going for a 4-2-3 when they are defending, a 4-2-3-1 when they are in attack with what is it called Olivier Giroud up front, Kylian Mbappe, Dembele, Antoine Griezmann behind Olivier Giroud. These guys provide a lot of attacking arsenal. Adrian Rabiot, Antoine Griezmann, these are the guys that for me have, aside the game that Rabiot did not play, they've made the French team very effective. But obviously, the go-to man will be Kylian Mbappe. But can the Argentine team handle Olivier Giroud? His hold-up play has been excellent. He's very strong in the air, very, very quick as well. It's going to be an interesting battle. I cannot wait for the game to start.
Quickly, Percy, prediction starting off with you, and then to Kofi.
First half win for France.
First half win for
Yeah,
France.
every day. So just 2-0 France first half.
Well, he's predicting with his heart more than his head. You see,
So predict.
prediction. I told you. I told you there will be goals in the first half, but as to where the goals are going to, I cannot tell. But in the end, Argentina will win. There will be goals in the first half.
Kofi.
Well, 5:30. France will lift the trophy.
I asked you to predict.
He's scared.
Be bold, be bold and tell me France will win by 4-0.
Give us your prediction.
Great.
for the first half.
I don't know where these guys came from. I don't know where Percy has come from. But I think that in the first half, I don't really see a lot of goals in the first half. I don't see any goals in the first half. I don't see any goals in the first half, but I'm just sure that France will lift the trophy when all is said and done.
So France have won every game that they've played at this World Cup at halftime. If you're an investor, you should know where to stake for your first half bets. We'll be back at halftime